everyone. Welcome to the Hypergamous Journey. My name is Denise. At this channel, I discuss dating advice for mature women, mature in mindset and mature in age. I've been on YouTube since September 21, 2021, when I uploaded my first video regarding hypergamy and what it meant to me. And I had never heard of hypergamy and strategically dating for mature women and just what things to look for when dating. And I seek marriage, and a lot of people on my subscribers, they don't want marriage, but they want to be mated, meaning it's a marital-like situation, but without the legal paperwork. So behind me, these are my affirmation journals. You can get them on Amazon. And I'm using my journal, Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life, to look at my notes. Okay, so my last video, which I will label part 1, The Spirit of Duality, is about me up-leveling or upping my game. My YouTube channel has been, is eligible for monetization. And with that comes, with that came a level of, what am I doing on YouTube? What information am I sharing with my subscribers and viewers regarding dating for mature women? I am 63 years old. I've never married. I do not have children. And it's all because I didn't know to date strategically. I've been asked many times, many times, have I ever been married? Have I been engaged? And I say no to both of those questions. And if you are in the boat like me, where you've never been married, never engaged, or never had children, it can feel a little awkward and like something's wrong with you if you let it. So the key word, if you let it. And I've decided that there's nothing wrong with me. I just didn't see that as a priority at the time. And I didn't want to just have a baby because that's what I wanted, or have a baby with the wrong man. And I'm not shaming anyone. Every woman has to make her own decision about who she will marry, who she will have children with. But I didn't want to be a single mother. And that's what I saw. It's like, well, these men, or the men I was in a relationship with, they weren't committing to me. They weren't asking me for marriage. So why am I going to have a baby with them and struggle raising that child? So I didn't want that. And I knew that very early at an age of like 13, 14, I knew that if I was not married, I was not going to have any children. And so that's the way my life has been. However, I started to think about marriage when I was around, at the start of this YouTube channel, maybe a year or two before, but I didn't know that you had to be strategic about dating in order to get married. I just thought it would happen, that marriage would just happen. And I was offered marriage when I was 18. I wanted to go to college, so I knew I didn't want to get married. And I grew up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And at that time, there was no separation of marriage and children like it is today. Like, couples can get married at 23 and not have their first baby until they're 35 or 30. Whereas in the generation that I grew up in the 1960s, early 60s, marriage and children went hand in hand. They were synonymous. As soon as you got married, you were expected to have a child within 1 to 2 years after marriage. If not, they were looking at you, the woman, like she had fertility issues. And maybe not the man, but definitely the woman had fertility issues. So here I am. around whatever in 2021, what was 3 years ago? No, it was earlier than that. So around 50, in my late 50s, I really started to think about marriage and how to do it. And I was on YouTube and Shira7 came into my feed. 7-1 came into my feed and she was talking about sugar babying, and I knew I couldn't do that because I was too old. And you have to have a certain temperament to do that kind of dating. But I did take what she said, the things that were applicable or I could apply to dating, and started to do them. Like dress femininely, don't do so much talking on the date, do more listening than talking, changing. I got this from the Pink Pill, Crystalline Karazin. Move my voice up an octave, or she didn't say it. She said I had to change my voice, and she said taking singing lessons would help, but just make it more melodic. So I know how to do that now. And even as I work through my triggers, I've noticed that my voice has changed, that it's softer, that I don't talk as fast. It's just everything is at a more relaxed pace. So in the first video, I titled it The Spirit of Duality because I'm calling myself out. Looks like the sun is trying to come out. So I'm calling myself out in the spirit of my duality. And what I mean is wanting one thing and saying another, saying one thing and doing another. And how does that play out in my life? I try to show up on YouTube and share my dating experiences authentically. I don't say everything because some things have to be private, and I don't want all my business on these YouTube streets. However, if you become a member, then we can go deeper in live videos about questions that you may have about dating, how I've been dating, and the nitty-gritty of it. And then I will make those particular live videos members only videos so that we can go deeper without the trolling or so much trolling, and be more detailed about dating. Because it's different now than we were when we were young teenagers and young whippersnappers. I'm looking in my journal for my notes, because this is a catch-all, a story time video, part 2 of the spirit of duality, and just calling myself out before you about my spirit of duality. In the previous video, I talked about buying Amazon wigs and then returning them because influencers said that you'll get quicker results if you have straight hair and longer straight hair. So she didn't say how long, but she just said straight hair. And I got the wigs for the second time. I tried getting wigs and I returned all of them because they didn't fit and it didn't feel authentic. Because I've said many times, I just want a man who's okay with the way I look, period. You know, short hair and all, he's okay with that. He's okay with my style. So I sent them back. And if I do a wig, I think it should be customized because of my head. My head is small, on the smaller side, and to make it look more realistic. That's a big if. Okay, this is bothering me right here. So anyway, moving on. One of the things I used to talk about too was in my dating review videos, depending on the man or how I was feeling or both, I would say I was dating for fun, and then with other men, I would say I was dating for marriage. And so what I've decided to do now, this point on until the day I get married, is just to tell the men straight up, I'm dating for marriage. What are you dating for? Just ask the question, because they will tell you. You get the most truth from men during the early stages of dating. You get the most truth from them when the early stages of dating. So I'll just say I'm dating for marriage. What are you dating for? For the first time, I asked a man if he went to church. It's like, I didn't even say, do you go to church? What I said was, what church do you attend? And then he started to explain he didn't go to church and he believes in God and so forth and so on. It's like, oh, okay. And then I talk about the celibacy. I never called it celibacy. I just said no sex before marriage. I'm just direct like that. But then I realized, oh yeah, I have been celibate for years. And maybe I shouldn't say it on these YouTube streets, but I've been celibate for years. And I think that's why it's easy for me to move on from even relationships that I was in. It's easier because you're not sleeping with them. You're hurt, yes, that it ended. You're disappointed, yes, that it ended. But you in no way want to do bodily harm to them. I said want to do bodily harm to them when it's over. And I look at some of the situations where I think I told you I was dating the man who broke up with me 3 times. If I had been sleeping with him, I would be devastated that we are not together as husband and wife, or that we're not married. I would be devastated because a week or 2 before he wanted a break, if I had slept with him the week before he wanted the break, I would be devastated because it's like, you slept with me a week before, the weekend before. You knew you wanted a break then, but you didn't tell me to the following week that you wanted a break. Do you see how foul that is? So you're thinking that you are on good footing, that the relationship is going fine, you're sleeping with him, giving him all the goodies, the emotional support, all the things that men want from us, but deny to themselves that they need, besides sleeping part. You're giving him everything that a wife would give a man, and now he wants a break. You're like, but didn't you know that before? Didn't you know that 6 months ago that I wasn't the woman that you wanted to marry? But yet, you gave yourself some reasoning about why you should continue to play the game and pretend. At least that's the way I see it. Now, I can grant him some grace in saying that he was telling the truth. He really didn't know when he did, but I doubt that. But okay, I can give him that. So anyway, I had to just, call a spade a spade. I'm celibate. And say it with conviction and mean it. And, you're going to get some pushback, but let them push. I don't have to push back. I can just say, well, that's how I live my life. And either he's going to like it or he's not. And it's a very good vetting strategy, actually, because he gets to determine up front whether he wants to pursue the relationship or not. So I'm going to switch the subject a little bit. But the bottom line is, keep your legs closed. Tell men up front what you're looking for, whether it's a mated situation or marriage, and let the chips fall where they may. Eventually, the man who is just right for me will show up. In those terms, he will be willing to accept as he gets to know me. And if he doesn't want to do that, then he's free to leave, and so am I, or I can leave, whatever it is. But just be upfront. The spirit of duality no longer has a place in my life. Either I want marriage or I don't, and I do. So if you do, state it up front. If you're not sleeping with a guy before marriage, say it, mean it, and govern myself accordingly. You govern yourself accordingly. And I still say, if you want to know how a man really feels about you, tell him that getting laid, sleeping with you is no longer a part of the relationship. And you will see quick, fast, and in a hurry what you mean to him. And it's all over these YouTube streets that men will wait for S star X, SX. Men will wait for SX if you the one. And if you're not the one, and he's just biding time or sleeping with you and 1 and 2 and 3 other women, he's going to go about his business. So I think it's an excellent way to vet. The thing is, do you have enough self-control to not do it? Do you have enough self-control not to partake? That's a question for you to answer, not me. I have to answer it for myself. And I say absolutely, because I want what I want. So if you want marriage or mated, act like it. Embody it. And let people go who don't want that in their life. Next thing. As you know, I keep saying Raleigh, but I was in Durham, North Carolina, about a week ago. I was in Durham, North Carolina a week ago. And I found a really budget-friendly flight on Frontier Airlines for like $40 to go to Raleigh-Durham. It takes an hour and a half to get there. Excuse me, Raleigh-Durham is the airport, but I was in Durham. And when I look at what women are wearing to the airport, I just shake my head. It's awful, the way that we show up going to the airport. Forget about going to errands, but like to the airport. What looked like, Fenty was the first designer company that I saw with those furry sandals, slippers, whatever that is, that people slide around. They look plastic, like they made of Crocs, and then they have fur on top and the toe is out. To me, that's the ugliest fashion trend, but I'm not that age, so Fenty isn't appealing to me. Of course, leggings, jogging pants, the straight kind. And I won't say I'm above that, but I know that the way I walk, the skinny one tight at the ankle isn't the style for me because I'm knock-kneed. Now, if you bow-legged, it looks a whole lot better than if you're knock-kneed. So they had on that. Hoodies, bonnets. It didn't look good. And when I go to the airport, I dress in colors that complement my skin tone. And ballet shoes, shoes that look like ballet slippers. I wear those. Makeup, and I get treated better. I get treated better by the flight attendants. Some of them are kind of like going to Raleigh-Durham. I ran into a little bit of resistance from 2 Black women as flight attendants, telling me to sit down because the light was on, and just because the flight attendants are moving around in the cabin doesn't mean that the passengers get up and move around too. I was going to the restroom. And so they were just like really nasty. And so when she told me, to sit, and then I sat down in the first seat that I saw, which was hers, and she said, you can't sit there. So I moved to the next one. I never said a word. I just did what I was told. And so the woman that was doing some of the talking, when she saw me, she looked up, and then I could see the resentment or negativity in her face. You know how people just give you negativity in their facial features for a split second. It's so quick. And then the other woman who was doing the talking told me to take a seat and not in that seat and this and that. And so when the gentleman, a white man, came out of the restroom, I said, I bet you neither one of them said a thing to that man when he went to the restroom. I bet you neither one said a word to him when he went to the restroom. So he came out and I got up and I went in. And as I passed one of the women, I could see her and feel her staring at me as I walked down the aisle of the plane. Why do I bring that up? You're going to have people who are going to treat you better because you're dressing better. If you can attest to this, comment in the comment section. And you can do your own experiment. Go to, make it the same store, whatever store it is. Go to the same store, dress down, and go to the same store dressed up. And when I say dressed up, I don't mean, a dress, anything fancy, just a full face of makeup, bright feminine colors that complement your skin tone. Walk slower, smile at everyone, and see how that works. You'll feel better, first of all. You will feel better, first of all. And secondly, notice how people treat you. And if you have to, go home and write it down. You can write them in one of my journals that you can get on Amazon. Or whatever paper you have, maybe you have paper in your car. You can just write it down to just see the difference on how you're being treated on a regular basis when you're in your full makeup, looking nice, smelling good, whatever, and when you're not. I've noticed I get treated better when I'm dressed up in full face of makeup. Well, even not even dressed up, but in colors that are pretty on me and stuff like that. And I get more compliments. Children look at me like, I like what I see. But you can tell when a child likes you, but they can't verbalize it because they just stare at you. They're just looking because they like the beauty that they see. If you can attest, put it in the comment. This is a hard one, but this is about weight. I used to weigh, I don't know if I should get numbers, because you can say I used to weigh 175 or 185, which is me, and it will be distributed differently on me at 185 as opposed to someone else with a different body type at 185. Either they're shorter than me, higher, or, just different. They might be top heavy and bottom slim, or bottom heavy, top slim, or hourglass figures. See, like 185 is still 185, but it looks different on each body type. So we as a nation, forget ethnicity and race and all that. We as a nation, we are heavy. We're overweight. We don't have good diets. They put a lot of chemicals in our food, especially sodium and sugar. And I'm discovering now that I'm very sensitive to sodium. So I have to really watch what I eat. And sodium is really heavily dosed in prepackaged processed food, period. Processed food, lots of sodium because it's used as a preservative to make the shelf life longer for processed foods. But we are very, 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 very overweight as a nation. And people who have excess curves, which I consider myself to be, have to be curvy, we are looked at side eyes like, But the thing is, it depends on what kind of curves you have. Because if you have the Kardashian curves, which they got from Black people or African people or diasporic people, now it's viewed differently. And for the last, 10 years or however long the Kardashians have been on, white women with big butts and little thighs have been a thing. And lip filling has been a thing. But there was a time when I was growing up where that was not a thing, that it was not good to be curvy, have a big butt, full lips, full nose, or anything African about you. Now it's more acceptable, except for that hair. We still won't accept our hair the way it grows out of our head. We're working on it, but that's a hard one for us because of social conditioning. Since the day we arrived in America from Africa, it has been a hair journey. You know, the slave masters and their wives were telling us to tie it up because the men wanted to feel on it and touch it, and we were considered different. So we had to cover that stuff up, cover our hair. And you know all about slavery and stuff. So to me, that's where all this is coming from in terms of us wanting, Black women wanting straight hair. It's the beauty standard that we are brainwashed with from the moment that we are born. And it has continued on and on and on. It's gotten better, but we still have a lot of work to do. So that's really it as far as my second video on the spirit of duality, calling myself out. And as I call myself out, the sun is going down here in the Atlanta area. It's been like there's some hurricane that has given us a lot of rain. Let's see. I'm not really sure how that looks. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So you know whether you need to lose weight or not. I'm liking this lighting because it's accentuating my smile line. I have to remind myself that people get paid 6 figures to do lighting in movies and everything else. So me not getting lighting right is okay because people get paid big bucks to do lighting and to present the best side of a person. But it's time I invested in a light. So I'm gonna do that. So okay. So anyway, that is it for my video. This is a 30-minute video. I've never done a 30-minute video. So you know I have memberships, a membership. So click on join and you'll see, if you see 3, I'm about to change that to 1 membership. That way I can do lives and we can just talk more intimately about dating and how it is today for mature women. Amazon for my journals, affirmation journals in different sizes and colors and different kinds of affirmations to help you stay grounded and remember who you are and whose you are and what you're doing and why you're doing it. And if you want help with dating, I have a free dating guide. Email me at thehypergamistjourney@gmail.com and I will send you that dating guide. It helps those who haven't dated in a while and who want to get started again. So I can email you that. And if you need some hand holding, meaning one-on-one about dating, how to get started, an accountability partner, I'm your woman. I'm your girl, because I tell it to you just like I tell it to myself. I've had success with it. It's just that I haven't met the right man, but I do go on dates. Yes, so email me about that if you need special hand holding at thehypergamistjourney@gmail.com and we can talk about what you're needing and how I can assist you. I think that's it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.